The usher's smile faltered when he saw my invitation. "Oh, you must be one of Ms. Reynolds' special guests. The beneficiary section is through those doors." I glanced down at my simple black dress, expertly tailored Armani, but you'd only know it if you knew what to look for. "Actually, I'm Amanda Reynolds' mother." His discomfort grew visible. "Yes, ma'am. As I said, the beneficiary section is where my place card is," I finished for him. "Thank you." Walking through the Metropolitan Museum's Grand Hall, I caught snippets of conversation about the mysterious donor who'd pledged $50 million to the Reynolds Foundation for Economic Justice. If they only knew that donor was currently being directed to the welfare table. The beneficiary section was separated from the main dining area by an ornate partition, just hidden enough to make the wealthy donors comfortable, but visible enough to parade out their success stories when needed. My daughter had learned well from her father's family. "Mrs. Martinez?" A young woman in a foundation polo shirt approached. "I'm Sarah, your handler for the evening. We'll need you to share your story during the presentation. How the Reynolds Foundation helped you get off welfare and find employment as a computer programmer," I supplied, watching her scribble notes. "Though these days I mostly handle corporate acquisitions." She blinked. "Oh, that's impressive. Usually our beneficiaries work in more traditional roles. Like cleaning houses." I smiled, remembering the years I'd done exactly that. "Nothing wrong with honest work, Sarah," something my daughter used to understand. Before Sarah could respond, a commotion near the main entrance drew everyone's attention. Amanda had arrived, resplendent in designer fashion, surrounded by her father's family and their social circle. "Largest anonymous donation in the foundation's history," I heard her telling reporters. "Proof that our work transforming lives really resonates with the philanthropic community." My daughter, the crusading socialite, building her reputation on helping the less fortunate. The irony would be delicious if it weren't so painful. "Mom?" A shocked voice came from behind me. "What are you doing here?" I turned to face my other daughter, Rachel, who worked as the foundation's actual programs director. Unlike her sister, she'd chosen to stay connected to our roots. "Hello, sweetheart." I hugged her, feeling her stiffen with worry. Surprise. "Mom, please tell me you're not going to make a scene." I raised an eyebrow. "Would I do that?" "Yes." She glanced nervously at Amanda, still holding court with the press. "She doesn't mean any harm. She thinks she's helping. By seating her mother at the beneficiary table, by pretending I'm just another charity case she saved from poverty." Rachel winced. "She's under a lot of pressure from Dad's family. You know how the Reynoldses are about image." Indeed I did. I remembered Gregory Reynolds' IU's face when his son brought home a pregnant Puerto Rican girl from the wrong side of town. Remembered his offer to handle the situation with a generous check. Remembered choosing my babies over their blood money. "Ladies and gentlemen," Amanda's voice carried through the hall. "If you'll all take your seats, we can begin our celebration of transformation and triumph over adversity." Rachel squeezed my hand. "Please, Mom, let her have this night." "Oh, I intend to." I straightened my simple pearl necklace, the first real piece of jewelry I'd bought myself after my company went public. "She's going to learn exactly what transformation looks like." The beneficiary table was set with slightly less elaborate place settings than the donor tables. 7 other success stories sat with me, all genuinely proud of their journeys from poverty to stability. Their stories were real, their gratitude sincere. "And you, Mrs. Martinez?" A former factory worker turned small business owner asked. "How did the foundation help you?" Before I could answer, Amanda's voice rang out from the podium. "Tonight, we celebrate not just an unprecedented donation, but the human spirit's ability to rise above circumstances. Let me introduce you to some of our success stories." One by one, my tablomates were called up to share their journeys. Amanda beamed benevolently as they thanked the foundation, her father's family nodding in self-satisfied approval. And finally, Amanda's smile turned extra synthetic. "We have a very special guest. A woman who went from welfare mother to computer programmer, proving that with the right help, anyone can better themselves. Please welcome my mother, Elena Martinez." The room's surprised murmurs were audible. Amanda had never publicly acknowledged our relationship before. I stood slowly, smoothing my dress. "Actually, it's Elena Martinez Chen now. Has been for 15 years, though you've never used my married name." Amanda's smile froze. Mom, please. But you're right about one thing, I continued, walking toward the podium. I am a success story. A welfare mom who coded her first program on a borrowed laptop in a homeless shelter, who started a tech company while working as a cleaning lady, who built that company into Martinez Global Technologies while raising 2 daughters alone. The room had gone deadly quiet. In the front row, Gregory Reynolds' eyes face was turning an interesting shade of purple. What you forgot to mention, I said gently, is that I did it without the Reynolds Foundation, without your father's family's money, without any help except my own determination and the kind of grit you only learn by climbing up from rock bottom. Security, Gregory Reynolds started to stand, but his wife yanked him back down. Oh, and that anonymous $50 million donation you're celebrating tonight? I smiled at my daughter's rapidly paling face. Consider it a lesson in humility from table 10, the welfare mom table. The explosion of camera flashes was almost blinding. Tomorrow's headlines would be spectacular. Tech billionaire reveals herself as Foundation's mystery donor. At beneficiary table, Amanda gripped the podium, her perfect composure cracking. Mother, you're making a scene. No, Carino. I'm making a point. I turned to address the stunned audience. You see, I'm not here tonight as a success story. I'm here as a wake-up call. Because somewhere along the way, my daughter forgot the most important lesson I taught her. Dignity isn't determined by bank accounts. Rachel had made her way to the stage, tears streaming down her face. Unlike her sister, she kept our family name, worked in the trenches with actual welfare recipients, remembered where we came from. Tell them, Amanda, she pleaded. Tell them about the shelter, about how Mom used to let us sleep while she coded all night, about the day her first program sold. But Amanda was looking desperately toward her father's family. Gregory Reynolds' IUI had risen again, his aristocratic face twisted with rage. This is precisely why we wanted you to distance yourself from your background, he spat. Look at this circus. Circus? I raised an eyebrow. Is that what you call it when the help dares to succeed without your permission? When the cleaning lady turns out to own the building she scrubbed? A ripple of shocked whispers ran through the crowd. One of New York's oldest families was having its dirty laundry aired in front of the entire social registry. You have no right, Gregory started, but his wife touched his arm, finally reading the room. Actually, I said calmly, I have every right, including the right to reveal that the Reynolds Foundation's flagship program, the one that supposedly helped me succeed, wasn't even founded when I started my company. Amanda's carefully constructed facade crumbled completely. Mom, please. Please what? Keep pretending I'm just another charity case you saved. Let you use my story while hiding the truth about how I really succeeded. I shook my head. No more, Mejita. It's time for some honesty. I turned back to the audience, to the donors and socialites who'd been so carefully cultivated by the Reynolds family. 25 years ago, I was offered a check to disappear, to give up my babies because they weren't Reynolds material. I tore up that check and chose poverty over selling my dignity. I met Gregory's eyes. Best investment decision I ever made. Rachel stepped forward. The foundation does good work now. Real work. But we've been lying about our history, about Mom's story. Because the truth wasn't elegant enough. I finished. Because a welfare mom building a tech empire without the Reynolds name didn't fit the narrative. The beneficiary table, my tablemmates for the evening, had risen to their feet. Their applause started slowly, then spread through the room like wildfire. I'm not here to shame anyone, I continued. I'm here because it's time for truth. Time to acknowledge that success stories don't always need saviors. Sometimes they just need opportunity. Amanda had sunk into a chair, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. Why now? Why like this? Because you're better than this, Maija. Better than hiding your mother away at the charity table. Better than pretending poverty is something shameful to overcome rather than something systemic to fight. Gregory Reynolds' IUI stormed toward the stage. This is outrageous. You've manipulated this entire situation. No, Dad. Amanda's voice was quiet but clear. Mom's right. I'm the one who's been manipulating things, hiding her away, pretending. She stood slowly. Pretending I wasn't proud to be Elena Martinez's daughter. The silence that followed was deafening. Well, I said into that silence, now that we've cleared the air, Shall we talk about how that $50 million will actually be used? Because I have some thoughts about coding programs in homeless shelters. Rachel laughed through her tears. Mom, you just blew up the biggest charity event of the season. No, I smiled. I just made it honest. And speaking of honest, I reached into my clutch and pulled out a folder. These are the real statistics about welfare recipients who become entrepreneurs, not the sanitized versions in your brochures. Perhaps we should share them. The room had transformed. The carefully orchestrated charity gala had become something raw and real. Donors were actually talking to the beneficiaries. Stories were being shared without the polite filter of foundation handlers. Mrs. Martinez-Chen, my tablemate from earlier, approached. I'm starting a small business incubator in the Bronx. Would you consider? Email me Monday, I said. My actual email, not the foundation's filtered version. Amanda had finally made her way to me, her designer dress slightly wrinkled, her perfect mask completely gone. I wanted to make you proud, she whispered. Mais amour, I was already proud. Every day you were born, every moment you existed, I was proud. I touched her cheek. I just wanted you to be proud of me too. All of me, not just the sanitized version that fit the Reynolds image. Gregory Reynolds IUI made one last attempt. Amanda, think about what you're doing to the family name. The family name? She straightened her spine, my daughter's spine, not the Reynolds posture she'd learned at finishing school. Mom built an empire while living in a shelter. She's the name I should have been proud of all along. The aftermath of my revelation transformed the gala into something unprecedented in New York society circles. An honest conversation about privilege, poverty, and the complicated space between them. Your mother, a prominent socialite whispered to Amanda, is absolutely magnificent. Do you know how long we've waited for someone to puncture the Reynolds family's self-importance? The beneficiary table had become the center of attention, with actual CEOs and business leaders engaging in real discussions about entrepreneurship and opportunity. My tablomates were no longer props in someone else's story. They were the story. Mrs. Martinez-Chen, a reporter approached cautiously. Would you comment on the significance of revealing yourself as both donor and supposed beneficiary tonight? I glanced at Amanda, who nodded slightly. I'd say it's significant that you use the word suppose. Too often, we create narratives about poverty that serve the storytellers rather than the truth. Tonight wasn't about embarrassing anyone, it was about honoring authenticity. Gregory Reynolds IUI had retreated to a corner, his social circle notably smaller than when the evening began. His wife, however, surprised everyone by approaching our table. Elena, she said softly, I should have spoken up 25 years ago. When they offered you that check, I knew it was wrong. It's never too late to choose differently, Margaret, I replied. Your granddaughters turned out pretty amazing despite the family politics. Amanda and Rachel stood together now, their sisterly bond visible again after years of careful social distance. Rachel's practical blazer next to Amanda's designer dress somehow looked perfectly matched. The foundation needs restructuring, Amanda announced. Real programs, real stories, real impact. No more sanitized narratives. And no more beneficiary tables, Rachel added firmly. Next year, everyone sits together. I watched my daughters plotting change, remembering late nights in the shelter when they'd help each other with homework while I coded. They'd always been strongest together. Mom? Amanda touched my arm. Would you consider joining the foundation's board? Not as a donor or a success story, but as yourself. We need your perspective. And your tech expertise, Rachel added. Those coding programs you mentioned, we could really make a difference. I looked at my girls, really looked at them. Amanda's carefully constructed society persona had cracked, revealing the passionate advocate underneath. Rachel's quiet dedication to actual change had finally found its voice. On one condition, I said. We start with truth. About everything. Including the fact that my mother is a self-made billionaire who still makes her own coffee and takes the subway. Amanda smiled shakily. And occasionally cleans her own office, I confirmed. Because no honest work is beneath us, and no wealth makes us above others. The evening wound down, but not in the usual way of charity galas. Instead of polite exits and air kisses, people lingered, talking, connecting, sharing real stories. You know what this means? Rachel grinned. Christmas is going to be interesting this year. Oh, I don't know. I adjusted my simple pearl necklace, the one that cost more than our entire first year in the shelter. I think Grandfather Reynolds might find his calendar surprisingly full this holiday season. Amanda laughed, a real laugh, not her society titter. Mom, you're terrible. No, mind ya, I'm honest. There's a difference. I gathered my daughters close. Now, who wants to get pizza? I know a great little place in our old neighborhood. In these clothes, Amanda gestured to her couture gown. Perfect, I decided. Let's show Mario that his former dishwasher cleaned up nice, but still remembers where the best slice in town is. As we left the Metropolitan Museum, reporters called out questions about the dramatic evening. But they were asking the right questions now. About real programs, real change, real impact. Mrs. Martinez Chen, any final words about tonight's revelations? I paused on the steps, my daughters beside me. Just this: success isn't about rising above your beginnings. It's about lifting others while staying true to who you are. And who are you? Someone called out. Me, I smiled. I'm just a welfare mom who learned to code, raised two amazing daughters, and never forgot where she came from. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a pizza place to visit. Some stories are better told over New York's finest slice. And with that, 3 generations of strong women, dressed in culture and common sense, headed downtown to celebrate truth, transformation, and the kind of triumph that can't be contained in a charity gala narrative.